Hi, this is Margo. This is late Sunday afternoon, early Sunday evening, June the 5th, 2022. I'd like to welcome everyone to the show today. I hope everyone is safe and doing as well as possible. This will be my weekly update that I'll be putting on YouTube. We're going to go over climate-related items, methane for the week, sea ice, and some earthquakes. And I'm going to change the format up a little bit. And first of all, I apologize for not being able to do a full show last Sunday. I was having an allergic reaction to some new soap that I had gotten, and it was awful. And anyway, I figured that out this week, and so got that taken care of. But the air is different. It seems like there's different stuff in the air, and I don't know, my allergies are just a lot worse. And that's my big thing, is allergies and chemical sensitivities, and that's basically what I have to deal with. And so some weeks I just won't be able to do a full show, and there can't be helped. So here we are. I'm going to change it up a little bit. Like I said, I'm going to start out with Climate Reanalyzer, and we'll go through that because this will give us an overview of what's going on with the planet, and then we'll dig in to the separate elements like methane and then sea ice and so forth. So I'm starting off with Climate Reanalyzer for today. Here we have maximum temperatures around the globe, and you can look at this green over the Arctic and see that's above freezing. That's above zero. We've got zero there in the blue. So this is the air temperature, and so that's going to be melting the sea ice a lot faster. And then if we look at the flat view where the white areas are, that's around 100 degrees or higher. Look at India, it's covered up. Africa, Texas, going down into Mexico. Next we have 2-meter temperature anomaly, and see the brown over the Arctic where we saw the temperature that was above freezing just now. And then we've got higher than that readings over Siberia, moving into the red and brown, and lots of all around the Arctic Ocean there. Northern Canada, brown. Alaska, brown. This North Atlantic region is in the brown, and see all of Europe there. And this is air temperature. And yes, I know that their baseline is 1979 to 2000. That's their baseline, and so this is not accurate for going back to 1750, but this is what we've got. And so we had already had quite a bit of temperature rise before that baseline got set in place. So you can just add however much that was to whatever it is above that baseline and figure it out for yourself. And but this is what we've got. This is, so we use the tools that we have. Here in the Antarctic we've got red over the Weddell Sea, and that's where the thicker ice is. And here over, that's eastern Antarctica, So worldwide we're up 0.3 C higher than normal. The northern hemisphere is up 0.6 C. The Arctic is up 0.9 C. The Antarctic is down 1.5 C. Southern hemisphere is down 0.1 C. And the tropics are up 0.2 C. Next, we've got precipitation in clouds, and the green is rain, the blue is snow, and I've been watching this Arctic region all week, and it's been raining across Norway and Finland and Sweden and over into Russia, and it's been raining across Iceland, and see, it's coming up to Svalbard there. It was also raining over the ocean earlier this week, and see how far north it's raining here in Russia, also here in Canada. So it's pretty early in the season to be seeing rain like that, but that's what we've got. And as things heat up, we'll see more rain in the Arctic region. And also in the Antarctic region, we'll see more rain. There's the flat view for the globe. And this is what used to be the jet stream. And see, it's looping here around the Arctic, and then kind of splitting. And see, we've got a straight line coming across North America with a break coming down through the middle part, and then one line up high, one line in the middle, one down a little lower. There's no rhyme or reason, and there's no stream to it. It broke last summer sometime. I remember seeing it the day it broke. It was obvious, and it's just gotten worse since then. And there in the southern hemisphere, same thing. Wavy, broken. Here we have sea ice and snow cover for today, and we're not able to see huge changes here. It is melting. It's getting thinner a lot, but that's not really reflected in our image here. We've got more blues here in the Hudson Bay, and you can see it's thinning down here in the Baffin Bay, and so we'll be able to see more with the other models. Here's sea surface temperature anomaly. This is as of Friday, and see the browns. Anywhere you've got open water already in the Arctic, it's heating up. And see this between Norway and Svalbard. See, that's heading into the darker browns even. Look around Iceland, that's not good. And see, it's kind of reddish brown there. Look at the red around the UK and France. And then look at this around Alaska. See the reds and browns around that coastline. Also in the Bering Strait, see where it's brown there. That's where the ice is already melted. And around Kamchatka, see, it's already got reds. So if we look at the flat view, see, look at Kamchatka, See the reds and browns. Now see Australia, you're surrounded by browns all the way across this Indonesia area. These interior bodies of water, the seas are starting to really heat up. Look at this Mediterranean, it's all brown and moving into the reds. And the Black Sea, same thing, and the Caspian Sea, it's heating up. And here in the Atlantic, off the North American coastline, constant hot areas. So worldwide, we're up 0.4 C higher than normal. Northern Hemisphere, North Atlantic, and North Pacific are up 0.5 C. Southern Hemisphere is up 0.3 C. And the Equatorial Pacific is 0.1 C lower than normal. And that's this area that's in the blue, just west of South America. So that gives us an overview of what we're dealing with. Next we'll move on to methane. I have 2 days worth of methane data from NOAA to show and 1 day's worth on CAMS to show. We're starting with the Friday methane data for the 3rd. We're looking at NOAA. This is the morning for the MET-OT-B or MET-OT-1 satellite, and we're tracking the 469 millibar reading. The mean or average was 1925 parts per billion. The high reading was 2378, and see the pink, it's coming all the way down to the Antarctic, and the pink is this range, that's the high range, between 2000 and whatever this high number is, in this case 2378 parts per billion. In the afternoon, the mean was 1923 and the high reading was 2346. And then on the 4th, or Saturday in the morning, look at this, the mean was 1926, so that's jumped up, and our high reading is jumped up to 2629. We don't know where that spike happened, just somewhere in the pink zone. And then in the afternoon, the mean was 1924, and the high reading was 2376. Here's my spreadsheet where I'm tracking all of this. So the 4th averaged out to be 1925 parts per billion. That gives us an increase this week of 1.5 parts per billion. So we've gone up 3 weeks in a row now. The week of the 21st, we went up half a part per billion. The week of the 28th, we went up 1 part per billion. And now here for the 4th, we went up 1.5. And so we can see the line heading up now. And remember, the distance between these two gray lines is 20 parts per billion. So we're a fourth of a way up between the 1920 and the 1940. We're 20 parts per billion higher than we were this time a year ago, and we're 55.5 parts per billion higher than back at the beginning of this chart, from March the 1st of 2019. And we're in the warming season now for methane, or the gaining season, all the way now until sometime, usually in October, and then it goes down a little bit for the winter. The problem is when it goes down, it never goes back to where it was before the previous rise, and so that's why we have the exponential increase here. Here we can see what happened this week. So here we are in my show last week. For the 28th, we were at 1923.5. And on the 29th, it went down half a part per billion. Then on the 30th, it went up 1. On the 31st, it went up 0.5. On the 1st, it went down 1. And then here we go, going up. On the 2nd, it went up 0.5. On the 3rd, no change. And then on the 4th, it went up 1 part per billion. So we're ending at 20 parts per billion, higher than a year ago. Now we'll move on to CAMS. This is the Copernicus Atmosphere Monitoring Service website out of the EU. I have Saturday, January 4th ready with the Arctic view and surface level. Here's our color ledger. So the data is for Saturday, and the forecast period is Sunday through Wednesday. So right off the bat, we can see Komsomolets coming back to life. We've got in the forecast period, if you'll see here, see it's percolating again. We've got high readings coming up there again. So that didn't go away, it just subsided temporarily. We have, look at these high readings in the Scandinavian area. It's been raining here for a lot of the week. There are a lot of wetlands in this area too. So I don't know how much permafrost might be up there, but all of those conditions will cause high methane and warming, it's all warming up now. And we can see the interior of Russia coming back to life. It had been raining in this part of Russia earlier this week. See, it's coming to life over here too. Further into the interior. And here, look at southern Alaska. It's heating up. See the heavy readings there. Also in the Aleutian Islands. And we can see it coming up around the coastline of Alaska. Also here in the Bering Sea. Now these are areas that are in the brown. We just saw that with the sea surface temperature anomaly. And so the water's heating up, and as a result the sediment is heating up and releasing stored methane deposits. And then here in Canada, this is where the tar sands are, and See North Dakota here, big oil production, and also lignite coal mining. And here, look at Canada just below the Hudson Bay. That's really coming back to life. Now this is an area that has a lot of wildfires in the summertime, and the fires have begun. We haven't been stricken with smoke where I live yet, but it's coming. It's coming soon, and I'm not looking forward to it. I live in the Reno area. Alright, now we'll look at the North Pole view. Here we can, with this bird's eye view, we can see the whole northern hemisphere. And continuing here in the US, look at the big blobs. And this is typical when things start heating up in the summertime, and also with the rain. This goes right down that Mississippi River area on either side. And there's farmland and a lot of cattle and farm animals, and meat industry, different things like that. All of that, you'll have high methane. And look at this eastern seaboard. That's a big blob, and that's very densely populated. Where you have dense population, you've got high methane too. And then you've got these hot spots in California. This is the San Francisco area, and then Southern California there. Then coming over to the right side of the map, we've got the UK. See, it's streaming out. Here's Germany. Persian Gulf is filling back up and spilling over. See, over the land there in Saudi Arabia. And see, India, that's filling up. China's filling up. Here's Japan, and see these waves of the green just moving out. Now we'll pop down to the Antarctic. Now the main background color has increased to this 1840 reading rather than the 1820, and so it's hard to see exactly where it's coming up around the coastlines, but we can still see it coming up around the Brunt ice shelf, and you can see it streaming down off of South America and then streaming down here off of Australia. And it's just popping up here. You can see little demarcation on this north side. Now we'll go to the global view. And we have just a little hint of that 1820 parts per billion reading just popping up briefly over Australia, and then it goes away. But the rest of the southern hemisphere, see, that's that main background color now. And we can see higher readings even creeping down further south. See, like the next one up is the 1860, and see, that's in, over the Atlantic here, from South America to Africa. And this spot's really heating up in southern Africa. That's a big mining area. They've been mining there in that area for hundreds of years. I think, like, I don't know how long. I did some research on that, and so you'll see a constant methane coming up there. Also sulfur dioxide. They do a lot of open pit mining there. Now we'll look at 500 HPA. Now this is about equivalent to the level we're tracking on NOAA. So you can see these darker readings. Look here, coming up from Siberia, and then there's the Arctic Ocean there, and then here, here's Japan, China, coming down to India. And then here's that Scandinavian area, and see how it just spreads out over the Arctic. And we've got yellows moving further south, and reds moving further south as well. And methane is kind of redistributing as the temperature heats up in that northern hemisphere. Here's total column, and here's the highest from China. See, solid, just a solid line all the way down to India. And that's because of the population and all of the industry that they have and everything. Same with India, population. Now I want to go over the rest of these pictures. This is sulfur dioxide from CAMS for today. This is nothing huge, nothing just, big red jumping up. But we're seeing a higher reading here in southern Africa. That's where we saw the methane too. And here it is at 500 HPA. We got a little bit higher reading here over Kamchatka. That's volcanic related. Also, this is from Popocatépetl region in Mexico, which is volcano related. Here's ozone. This is from CAMS as well. This is ozone today. We're looking at the Antarctic, and we can see the hole is forming, and the solid yellow is 300 Dobson units. That's considered to be average or a good thickness. And then the reds are higher than that. And then immediately see the greenish tinge. That's where it starts going down in thickness and going down into the greens, and then blue-green. We're not seeing anything in the danger zone today, but it is quite thin. This is the area where we saw the red on Climate Reanalyzer with the 2-meter temperature anomaly over the Weddell Sea. So with the ozone being thin, you know, it's letting more heat through, and you know, even though it's dark down there, you know, it's still a lot hotter than normal in some of those areas. And see, look at this hole from South America around too. Here's the Arctic view of the ozone. You can see those heavy readings are spreading out and dissipating. And here's the global view, and you can see the greens coming further north here, North Africa up into Europe, and here from India up this the Himalayas, and China there, and then we've got greenish here in the Pacific coming up to the west coast of the US. And then in these mid-latitudes, see the green, huge areas of really thin. And we've got a little bit of aqua here over Peru. And see, Australia, it's almost all in the greenish or green zone, and so that's all real thin. And oh, okay, I'm going to go over earthquakes in a little bit. Now we'll move on to our sea ice part of the show. Okay, we're going to start with the U.S. Navy models for the sea ice thickness. This is the Arctic sea ice thickness here, and here's our color scale on the right, and we can see most of the ice is still in some shade of aqua, but it is thinning down, starting to melt. And you can see this Hudson Bay area is in high melt. A lot of open water on the north end, and then it's down into the purple and light lavender in the middle, and then it's got some thicker ice around the southern part, and a little bit of aqua. The aquas are range anywhere from about, the dark aqua is 1.5 meters thick, and the bright aqua is about 2 to 2.5 meters thick, and then it moves on to green and yellow and reds, and we don't have much of those colors. And here it's see, it's melting in the Baffin Bay. These tributaries are, we can see a little purple there, and then around Greenland, see this eastern edge is melting down. Here's Svalbard, and this eastern edge of the ice is really, this is in high melt now. And look here, next to Novaya Zemlya, this is the Kara Sea. We've got open water next to the Yamal Peninsula, and then we've got some thicker ice further over next to Novaya Zemlya. And you can see in the North Kara Sea how that's really in high melt. We've got a lot of whites coming in, so a lot of open water and thin ice there. And then over in the Laptev Sea, see the white is a lot of open water where it's already melted, and you can see the aqua, it's going into dark aqua and purples and blues, so it's thinning down. And then here in this East Siberian Sea, you can see it's going down into dark aqua and almost into blue here, so got a hole opening up there, and see the dark aqua coming all the way across the Chukchi Sea and into the Beaufort Sea. So there's a line that you'll see in the other models where it's melting, coming across kind of in an arc. And then you can see the Bering Strait is open, and this Bering Sea is just a little wisp of ice, and this where it joins with the Chukchi Sea that's melting down. And here in the Beaufort Sea, just you can see the demarcation with the darker aqua coming in over the Beaufort Sea, and then a little bit thicker around the edges there. But here's this hole next to Canada, and our thickest ice is just right here. It's breaking up next to the Canada coastline and a little bit on the Greenland coastline. Here's the 30-day animation. Now this was updated to yesterday, so the data goes back 3 weeks and the forecast period goes out to next Saturday. So let's see what the model is showing. We'll look down here. So yeah, that Hudson Bay is really clearing out. That's in high melt. And this this entrance coming in, that's clearing out. The Baffin Bay, watch where it's really really melting a lot around this west coast of Greenland and thinning down. And then this east coast of Greenland, see that melt, that extent is coming down. Look at the change from the green going down into aqua. So this is really starting to thin down. And then up here, look, next to Svalbard, this eastern edge just comes way back. It was out on this east side of Svalbard 3 weeks ago, and see, it's pretty much dissipating by next Saturday. Here's Franz Josef Land. See, it's thinning out around there. And then here in the Kara Sea, more thinning out there. And the Laptev Sea, more opening up. And the more open water that we see, the more it's going to be heating up, and then we'll be seeing on Climate Reanalyzer, we'll be seeing browns and reds for the sea surface temperature anomaly, where we're seeing the open water now. And watch here in the Bering Strait. See, that's really, that's on high melt now. And then up here along the coast of Russia, that's pretty much all melted down by next Saturday. So that's what we've got on that view. This is the Beaufort sea ice thickness, and Canada is here on the right, Alaska is at the bottom. Here's the hole, and we can see the ice pulling away from the coastline. That was from ice drift, sea ice drift, pulling it away. And here's our hole by Alaska, and here's the Bering Strait. And the thickest ice, which is this dark red, that's about 5 meters thick. You can see that's all broken up. Instead of a solid line like it had been, that's breaking up now. And you can see the lines where the leads are opening up. Those are the long cracks in the ice. And you'll see, like watch here, see they open up as the ice is moving around, and then it closes back up. And you can see the movement of the ice moving down. You can watch it moving down towards Alaska. So this is being jostled around quite a bit. There's that. We'll hop down to the Antarctic. Now here it's refreezing because it's winter time down there, and refreezing around the continent on the outside here. And we're seeing some thickening here in the Ross Sea and here in the Weddell Sea, and some extent coming out. And here's the 30-day animation, again updated to yesterday. So let's see what they're showing. The extent's coming out a little more on this west side. It's thickening a little bit here out from the coastline. Here in the Weddell Sea, we're seeing a little bit of thickening. Now watch up here next to this western peninsula See, there was ice. Now look, it retreats. That's not good. And that iceberg A76 is right in here, and it's breaking out. It's almost ready to break out. Here, let's stop this. So that's on, let's go back. So this is on yesterday. Here's where it is yesterday. See, there's still ice out here, and it's some of that thicker ice by the peninsula. Watch this as I click forward. There it goes. You see it retreating? That's not good. See, the whole thing moves back, and our iceberg is right out here. So it's going to break free this week, I'm thinking. Now this could be from the ozone hole or the heating, but that's not good to have that retreating there. Now we'll move on. This is from National Snow and Ice Data Center, a different model, and this is as of yesterday, Arctic sea ice concentration, and all these blues, that's where it's melting and it's less concentrated. See the line, the arc coming all the way across, basically from the Laptev Sea and then around and across over the Beaufort Sea all the way to Canada there. And then here's the Kara Sea, that's in high melt, and this eastern edge, and you can see all the blues. That's real different than what we saw last week or a couple of weeks ago. Look at this Hudson Bay. So the more blue it is, the more it's melting and breaking up into the black, or looks like black. I guess it's dark blue. And that's open water. And this golden line is the median. Now here's the chart for sea ice extent. This is as of yesterday. The blue line is this year and the dotted line is 2012. And we're just running really parallel with 2012. And remember, 2012 was a year that it was so small on the extent that that's kind of the line they gauge it with. But it was a lot thicker back in 2012. 10 years ago, here we are 2022. And we're just neck and neck with 2012. And we're below the median. So that's not good. And remember, you don't have to have a complete blue ocean event to have catastrophic consequences of the melting of the sea ice. You know, not every little wisp has to melt, and for it to not be really functioning as good sea ice. And they count every little wisp and everything, little skim. They count all of that in the extent. Now here's the Antarctic and sea ice concentration again for yesterday. And here's the chart for the refreeze. The blue line is this year, and the green line is last year, the gray line is the median, and we're still quite a bit below the green line and the median. It's struggling, but it's trying to come back. Now, Greenland, they had quite a bit of melt there this week. Now, this image is only for yesterday, daily melt for yesterday. The salmon color is where it was melting, and we can see it on this lower western side of the ice sheet, and a little bit further down here on the eastern side, also up here on the north side. See that northeast edge. And here's the cumulative melt days for this year. And we've got blues. Look at the blues all the way around this east side and moving into darker blues all around the bottom and coming up this west side. Here's our chart for melt extent. The red line is this year, and the dotted line is the median. And look where it spiked. I think that was on Monday or Tuesday this week where it spiked. And you can see these little bumps where we've already had melting. And right now it's close to the bottom, even though you saw some little salmon dots. That's all of those. Now we'll move on to NASA Worldview. Now I want to quickly go to the Antarctic and show you this iceberg. Now you see all that's in the dark. Here's the Western Peninsula. And I'm going to turn on the nighttime layer. Here we are. And I'm using a different mouse tonight. Should be better. And our iceberg is right here. And this is open water where it had been. It'd been over there, but it slid over. And it's almost out. See, here's the sea ice, and it's heading right out. There's open water there. It's almost free. Let's go back. Now, here's a good view of it on the second. This is the Western Peninsula. This is the tippy point. There are a few islands right at the very end of the peninsula. And so here's the iceberg. And here's the sea ice. So that was on the second. And it was a little cloudy on the third. Then cloudy on the fourth. And here we are on the 5th. It's still cloudy, but you can see it. So it's going to break free. And from what we saw on that Navy model, this ice here at the end of the peninsula is going to be retreating even more. And so this iceberg's just going to slip right out. I think it's fascinating to watch this in the dark and everything. I really enjoy tracking that. Look at that, in the dark. So that was the thing I wanted to show you down there. Now we'll move back up to the Arctic. And I'm going to turn on our sea ice concentration layer. And I'll turn on the blue marble layer. And that cuts out the clouds so that we can just concentrate on this sea ice. And where you see these colors, any colors, that's where it's melting. And it goes through the colors of the rainbow. And when it gets down to like the blue and purple, like out here in the Bering Sea, that's just almost not there. It's just a little bit. So look at that. So let's go back. Let's go back to May 22nd. That was the last time I showed sea ice for y'all. And let's see the changes. And we're going to focus on this area up here. So we'll just click through. Here it was on the 22nd. There's the 23rd, 24th. Look at that on the 25th. 26th. I think it was raining over this area. I remember it was raining. 27th, 28th, 29th. Here's the 30th. Look at that. See it breaking up there. 31st. And so we've got holes opening up to the left of Franz Josef Land there. Here's June 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th. Look at this, holes opening up there. And then here we are today. Alright, now we'll turn our layers off. And we'll just look at it with the satellite view now. I'm going to start up here. This is my favorite place to start, right here in the Lincoln Sea, just where Greenland and Ellesmere Island come together. Here's what it looks like today, and see, that's breaking up pretty good. See how those pieces are getting smaller. There's a cloud over that area. Look at all this open water. And then this is the nearest strait coming down. Look at all that open water and the pieces. Look at this. And here's ice at the bottom. And open water. And then here's where it opens out into the Baffin Bay. Well, we've got a big cloud right there. Here it was yesterday. So we do have ice right along here, but so that's breaking up. Look at that. And then in these little inlets, see, that's all melted. See? Let's go to today. See, we've got some clouds there. Sometimes you can just click back a day or two and just get it without the clouds. Oh, here we are today. Look at this. See, open water here. And here's the Hudson Bay area. And see, that's the state of melt that it's in. And that thicker ice is down here on the southern end. And then Greenland, or Baffin Bay, see it's melted all the way up here, almost all the way on this west side of Greenland. And then here's the ice on the east side. And we've got some clouds here on this, trying to get that north edge of Greenland. Let's go back. It's kind of always cloudy. You can see through the clouds, see the big crack there where it's breaking up. That was on the 1st. Look, here it is on the 31st. That's a pretty good view. Look at that. That's not wasting any time, is it? Look at this. See, that's all melting. See, that's the melting in between the pieces of ice. Like I said, that's not wasting any time. Okay, back to today. Okay, here's Svalbard. See, and we saw methane coming up here last week, kind of in this long European area. That's where the seed vault is. They built it into the permafrost. It's not permanent though. Okay, here's Franz Josef Land and this east side. See, just little wisps of ice, and they count all of that for extent. And we've got a lot of open water there. See, you can see it up here. That's on the 3rd. And then here's Novaya Zemlya. And we've got thicker ice on this eastern side here, where it's kind of piling up, and then open water up around the coast. This is the Yamal Peninsula, and this Gulf of Ob is melting. Let's see if we can see that. Here we go. Look. See? That's open. And this goes all the way up. See, look at these areas that are melting. Look here. This is what ice is there. It's really thin. I would love to see it without clouds. Look at this. I'm thinking there's a lot of open water under there that we're just not able to get a good look at because of the clouds. So here it was yesterday. See, we can see open here. And a lot of open water along here. Coming up. See, that's in high melt. Here's open water. Now here's Severni Zemlya. This is Komsomolets, so it's right around this end is where the methane percolates. Here we are today. The cloud. Look at this. And then coming up, this is the Laptev Sea. Look how that's melting out. And this is, see the open. We're looking through a cloud and open along here. And there's a little ledge of ice around the coastline, a little lip, and then it drops off, and that's the water, and that's already melted. See, here you can see on the third, see that's open. And so just imagine that if this cloud weren't there, we would be seeing that blue-green all the way around here. This is one of the first areas to melt. And this is an area, this is the area where Natalia did her research with and Natalia and Igor did their research with getting sediments, going into the sediments in the ocean floor there and finding massive amounts of methane in the clathrates there. But it's all the way through, but mainly around the coastlines, because that's what we're worried about, because it's more shallow and the water heats up faster. And as the water heats up, then the bottom of the ocean heats up, and the sediments heat up, and the clathrates heat up, and then the methane starts coming up, bubbling, billowing. So this is New Siberian Islands, and you can see that's melting around there. And then here's Russia, here's the coastline, and you can see this ice. So it's different colors. And in here, there's open water. And here's Wrangell Island. Here we go, a couple of days ago. Let's see. And the ice, it moves around, it sloshes, because the ocean waves, you know, it's on top of the ocean wave, and the waves slosh it around. Look at this. So here we are. This is the Bering Sea. Bering Sea out here. Here's the Bering Strait. And then it comes up into the Chukchi Sea. And look at all that open. Now that was on the 3rd. Here we are today. Got a big cloud over it. But you can see that's open. Got a little ice around Alaska there. Now here's the hole next to Alaska. That's the 3rd. Let's see what we can see. Look, here's that hole opening up even more. And here's along Alaska coming down. This is the Bering, I'm sorry, the Beaufort Sea. There we go. And see how it's melting in between those pieces of ice. So that area in between the ice goes first, and then the other pieces are jostled around more and start melting more like ice cubes. Then here's Canada. Here's where the ice is pulled away from the coastline. Look at this. See? See, that's coming apart. And then coming back around, here's Ellesmere Island. Here's the coastline. And here's where it's melting, breaking up. And then the North Pole is right there. But the thickest ice is not at the North Pole. It's right above Greenland here and along this coastline, Canada. And then out a little bit. You've got the up to the 3 meter out a little bit. So that's it. That's the state of the Arctic today. Now let's look at earthquakes. This is today on USGS. We're showing 163 worldwide in the last 24 hours, and it was pretty wild the last few days. Let's look at 7 days, all magnitudes first. So in the last week, we've had 1,667 earthquakes. And look down here, 6.4. Yesterday we had all these sixes. We had a 6.4. This is the Antarctic plate. That's the line there. So here's the Antarctic. And 6.4 west of McCary Island. That was on the 4th at 6:17 in the morning Pacific time. 6.3 at Naifu, Tonga on the 4th at 6:07 a.m. And, you know, a lot of them a lot of smaller ones in the mix. And then up here in the Aleutian Islands, in the Rat Island area, we had a 6.3 that came in yesterday. That came in at 4:38 p.m., 105 kilometers deep. Here's a 5.3 near Chignik, Alaska. Then also yesterday at the top end of this Juan de Fuca plate was a 5.1 near Prince Rupert, Canada. This came in at 4:59 p.m. And see, we've got movement at the bottom of the Juan de Fuca plate there. And just more of the same. Look at this movement in the Gulf of California. This is on that Imperial fault line that connects to the Cocos plate on the south and connects up to the San Andreas fault line in California. See all this movement. South America. Let's look at Puerto Rico. So they've had quite a bit, 95 here this week. And see, the movement has spread out. It wasn't just contained at Puerto Rico, but it spread out over to Dominican Republic and over to the British Virgin Islands too. Look at this in West Texas, well, including the Midland area, 62 this week. And that's from oil drilling, fracking. 4.6, that was the largest one. 6.2 kilometers deep. And then here's a 4.3. So see, they're getting bigger in areas where we've seen them show up, but not of that magnitude in a long time. And you know, it's just one big mess out here along the San Andreas fault line, and then coming up from Searles Valley. Look at that line from Searles Valley, Ridgecrest, all the way up Mammoth Lakes, all the way up into Reno and up to Pyramid Lake, and then here at Tonopah. It's just constant. And then here's the Cascadia region. Here's Yellowstone. We don't see any huge dots over there. And then look at all of this on the other side of the Pacific. Just constant. And then China and so on. There was one in the UK. This was, we don't have them in the UK very much, a 3.6 near Pries, United Kingdom. This came in on the 30th at 7:36 a.m. And these times are Pacific time. That's my time zone. So that's my report for the week. And I always like to bring it back to a spiritual focus. We've been reading out of the book of wisdom written by Solomon, one of the apocryphal books. These were books of the Bible that weren't part of the official Bible from the Nicene group. But these were, I think they're good. So, Wisdom chapter 4. Better it is to have no children and to have virtue, for the memorial thereof is immortal, because it is known with God and with men. When it is present, men take example at it, and when it is gone, they desire it. It weareth a crown, and triumpheth for ever, having gotten the victory, striving for undefiled rewards. But the multiplying brood of the ungodly shall not thrive, nor take deep rooting from bastard slips, not lay any fast foundation. For though they flourish in branches for a time, yet standing not last, they shall be shaken with the wind, and through the force of winds they shall be rooted out. The imperfect branches shall be broken off, their fruit unprofitable, not ripe to eat, yea, meat for nothing. For children begotten of unlawful beds are witnesses of wickedness against their parents in their trial. But though the righteous be prevented with death, yet shall he be in rest. For honorable age is not that which standeth in length of time, nor that is measured by number of years, but wisdom is the gray hair unto men, and an unspotted life is old age. He pleased God, and was beloved of him, so that living among sinners he was translated. Yea, speedily was he taken away, lest that wickedness should alter his understanding, or deceit beguile his soul. For the bewitching of naughtiness doth obscure things that are honest, and the wandering of concupiscence doth undermine the simple mind. He, being made perfect in a short time, fulfilled a long time, for his soul pleased the Lord. Therefore hasted he to take him away from among the wicked. This the people saw, and understood it not, neither laid they up this in their minds, that his grace and mercy is with his saints, and that he hath respect unto his chosen. Thus the righteous that is dead shall condemn the ungodly which are living, and youth that is soon perfected the many years and old age of the unrighteous. For they shall see the end of the wise, and shall not understand what God in his counsel hath decreed of him, and to what end the Lord hath set him in safety. They shall see him and despise him, but God shall laugh them to scorn, and they shall hereafter be a vile carcass, and a reproach among the dead for evermore. For he shall rend them, and cast them down headlong, that they shall be speechless, and he shall shake them from the foundation, and they shall be utterly laid waste and be in sorrow, and their memorial shall perish. And when they cast up the accounts of their sins, they shall come with fear, and their own iniquities shall convince them to their face. Wisdom chapter 4. So these are things that we can reflect on and think about and we're really getting close to the end in a lot of different respects. No one knows when their last breath will be, and so we need to be ready. We need to get our spiritual houses in order, and if you haven't given your life to Jesus Christ, I highly recommend it. So, hope everyone has a good week and that you're safe and doing as well as possible. And we'll talk to you next week, Lord willing. So I'm praying for everyone. And until next time, God bless you. Go in peace, and I will talk to you soon. Good night.